Welcome to U.S. Attorney's Office for the Western District of Washington. I first want to welcome and thank my partners who are here today. We have right beside me FBI SAC Special Agent in Charge Rick Colodi, Snohomish County Prosecuting Attorney Jason Cummings, Snohomish County Sheriff Susanna Johnson, King County Sheriff Patricia Cole-Tyndall. We have from the Kent Police Department Jared Kastner, and we also have Detective Wayne Jones from Mount Vernon Police Department. So thank you all for being here. We are here today to announce a RICO indictment that was returned by a grand jury in the Western District of Washington yesterday. RICO stands for Racketeering Involved Corrupt Organizations. This is the first indictment from the Western District of Washington in 17 years. It's a significant day as a grand jury has indicted Kevin Thissel and Christopher Johnson with RICO. And they indicted them for their leading and participating in a violent gang that terrorized our communities from South King County to Snohomish County to Skagit County. I want to start my remarks today by recognizing the tremendous law enforcement effort that it took to bring these charges today. It is really the dogged, determined work of so many law enforcement officers, agents, detectives, many of whom are in the room today, and prosecutors who would not give up in making sure this violent gang was held to account for their horrendous crime spree throughout our district. And really this group recognized the need for partnership. It's what's critical in bringing down organizations like this criminal enterprise. And you know, RICO is a really powerful tool, one that we haven't used recently. And part of its power and impact is that it really addresses violent crime done through groups. And violent crime done through groups is just markedly different than other types of crime. And so I find it fitting that other group came together, a group of law enforcement officers, agents, detectives, prosecutors, another group of determined, dedicated people who came together to address this crime through our community and held these people to account today. So I just cannot commend the efforts of our law enforcement partners enough. Thank you so much for the work you do. I want to talk a little bit about the case. Kevin Thissel and Christopher Johnson and their enterprise terrorized families. They terrorized children throughout our communities in the Western District of Washington. And they did it through robbery, burglary, kidnapping, and murder. This group, led by Thissel and Johnson, had certain modus operandi, methods of operating, which included they wore dark clothing, they wore masks, they came to people's homes, their own homes, at a time when they knew they'd be there, either late at night or early in the morning. They kicked in doors. Sometimes they said they were law enforcement. And they corralled the victims in the home, including children, and they restrained them, often with zip ties. Some of these children were as young as 9 years old. And then they ransacked these people's homes looking for valuables. And they controlled the victims with fear. And that's what the indictment alleges, among other things, is this enterprise, this criminal enterprise led by Thissel and by Johnson, used fear to control their victims and to sow fear in our communities. And so I need to right now take a moment to thank these courageous, brave victims for coming forward and their strength for coming forward and making sure that these charges could be brought today. They showed bravery, they showed patience, and thank you for your belief in us. RICO is important not only because it dismantles groups and it's really focused on groups committing violence, but it's also important because it allows us to tell a full story of criminal conduct. If we did these cases separately in Skagit, Snow, South King County, there'd be different stories that never encapsulated the entire scope of this criminal enterprise. And so by bringing these charges together, we can use both state and federal crimes to bring in a whole host of conduct that tells the entire story of this criminal enterprise. And that is one of the reasons RICO is so powerful, and it's so important that we brought it to this case today. The indictment alleges a criminal enterprise, and although only 2 people right now, Thissel and Johnson, are charged, I want to assure you that our investigation continues until we understand the full scope of the conduct and others are held to account. So thank you very much for coming today. I want to turn it over to Special Agent in Charge Colodi for talking more about the investigation.
Thanks, Tessa. Good afternoon. My name is Rick Colodi. I'm the Special Agent in Charge of FBI Seattle. First, on behalf of the FBI, I want to convey our deepest sympathy to the loved ones of the victims who lost their life. A mother was murdered in front of her child, and this child's life will never be the same. As a husband and a father, I'm heartbroken for the families who have endured this traumatic robberies and assaults in places they should have been safe, in their own homes in the middle of the night. I'm honored to be here with our partners from the U.S. Attorney's Office, King County, Snohomish County, and cities of Kent and Mount Vernon. It takes teamwork to investigate and prosecute cases like this, and I'm thankful for their commitment and their diligent work. This case is an example of how the FBI often enters people's lives in their darkest times, as we and our law enforcement partners are seeking justice for victims of crimes and to hold perpetrators accountable. I respect the bravery of the victims, as Tessa spoke about, who advocated for themselves, who shared their stories, and we recognize that this is incredibly hard to do. But we need the voices of victims, witnesses, and the public to partner with us to investigate and prosecute these types of cases. Many actions of the defendants in this case were specifically designed to cause fear. They kidnapped multiple people, they pretended to be the police, they disabled cameras, and even restrained children. This case just demonstrates how the FBI and our partners will continue to pursue criminal organizations who will terrorize our communities. As U.S. Attorney Gorman explained, the acts outlined in the indictment, when considered alone, may not rise to a federal level. However, because we successfully identified this group as a criminal enterprise, we could aggregate these incidents into one overarching case and charge the defendants together. Today's indictment is not the end of this case. We continue to identify additional co-conspirators and will hold them accountable for their actions. Before I close, I'd like to highlight a variety of the FBI's special technical resources which were useful in this case. For example, we use the expertise of FBI teams specializing in cell phone and forensic analysis, who, working skillfully behind the scenes, were able to reveal irrefutable evidence. Not only do we use these tools in FBI investigations, but we regularly offer assistance to our state and local partners to assist them and advance their cases. Finally, I want to thank you, our media colleagues, for joining us today and drawing attention to this important case. Now I'd like to introduce Snohomish County Prosecutor Jason Cummings.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. This is an important day. But before I get into my comments, I really just want to express my heartfelt sympathy to the family of Irah Sok. Our community senselessly lost an entrepreneur, a mother, and a wife, and it's senseless. And we are here today because of the dedication and the hard work, but more importantly, the teamwork of law enforcement professionals and members of my prosecuting attorney's office, members of the U.S. Attorney's Office, partnering together to ensure that these folks who have been named in this indictment are held accountable. In particular, I would like to thank our Detective Kendra Conley from our investigation unit. She's in our major crimes unit from Snohomish County. It was her determination to not let a case go cold, that she continued to work hard. She identified the crime spree that was occurring in King County and saw what was going on in Skagit County and said there are parallels and there are things that are similar. And it was through her hard work that we were able to make an arrest. Through her hard work that we're able to be in our position as an office of prosecuting attorney to bring charges against the two individuals that we've named. And those charges will be murder charges along with related actions from what they did that night in Snohomish County, which senselessly took the life of a mother and a wife. I can't thank enough the cooperation. This is, I don't want to say it's unprecedented because we work regularly with federal authorities, but to be able to partner in this manner to bring justice to our community for a group that has done so much to so many is huge. And I just thank the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, and our local partners in law enforcement, because without this kind of teamwork, we wouldn't be here today. I'm next going to introduce Sheriff Johnson, who will discuss a little bit more about some of the investigation, and also, I believe, has some words from the victim's family from the Snohomish County Homicide. Sheriff.
Thank you. I too need to start by acknowledging the victims and their families, and this is what brings us all together. And my name is Susanna Johnson. I'm the Snohomish County Sheriff, and I had the opportunity to share with you the details of just one of the cases we're talking about today, and that is the homicide investigation Prosecutor Cummings alluded to. Not only are we here to talk about this horrible crime specifically, but we're hoping to generate tips because, as mentioned, this is an open investigation and we need additional help from our community. Also, it is my opportunity as the Sheriff of Snohomish County to share appreciation for all the work that helped us solve this investigation. On August 19th, 2022, at 3 a.m., 3 masked suspects armed with firearms kicked in the front door of one of our homes in the 2600 block of 96th Street Southeast in Everett. The suspects then went to the second floor where the primary bedroom was and again kicked in the door, only to find the family in bed. Tragically, 36-year-old Irah Sok was shot and killed while lying in bed next to her son. The suspects then zip-tied her husband, placed him on the floor, and began to ransack the home. They left with thousands of dollars worthy of luxury items as they fled the scene. This is a senseless act of violence that has critically touched our community and of course left a young child without his mother. The investigation was exceptionally complex, as you can see today, and I need to thank our major crime unit detectives, specifically Kendra Conley as our lead detective, as well as the Kent Police Department. I need to specifically call out, please, Detective Andy Richardson for his work and tipping our case and getting it moving, as well as the FBI, of course, U.S. Attorney Tessa Gorman, Snohomish County Prosecuting Attorney's Office, all of them, but especially Jason Cummings, and then of course the Mount Vernon Police Department, Kent Police Department, and King County Sheriff's Office. Because of this entire team, the 2 suspects named earlier have been charged federally, and they've been in custody for a period of time, so we've already got them. Although we've identified those suspects, as mentioned earlier, we do know there's additional suspects and could use your help in identifying them. We ask anybody that does have tips on this case to please call the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office tip line at 425-388-3845. Now, before I turn it back over to the U.S. Attorney, we do have a statement from the family I'd like to read. Dear Detective Conley and team, we are overwhelmed with gratitude as we try to find the right words to express our heartfelt thanks and for the extraordinary efforts in solving this case that involved our beloved Irah Sok. This has been one of the darkest and most painful chapters in our lives, and your unwavering commitment has brought a glimmer of light to our deepest despair. Every day has been a struggle, marked by anguish and uncertainty. Detective Conley and her team had tireless dedication and compassion. They have not only provided us with answers, but also offered us a profound sense of relief. The emotional toll of this journey has been immense, and their hard work has been a source of hope and strength during our trying times. Your efforts have given us more than just resolution. They'd offered us a chance to heal and find peace amongst our grief. From the depths of our hearts, thank you for your relentless pursuit of justice, all of you, for your understanding and for the difference you've made in our lives. We will forever cherish your kindness and dedication. This is signed, Sok and Marcello family. And now hand it back to the U.S. Attorney.
Thank you, Sheriff. Thank you so much. We can open up for questions at this point. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Tessa. Couple of questions. There's a racial component here. I'm curious about whether there may be additional federal charges or state charges down the road in the